Fallujah, 57 strikes. Kobani, 250 strikes. Deir ez-Zor, 43 strikes. Mosul, 161. Baiji, 51. The U.S. has consistently said that airstrikes alone won't be adequate to ultimately destroy ISIS. But here's the latest report card on how those strikes are faring.
We're seeing progress in degrading and destroying ISIL's warfighting capacity. Coalition airstrikes have hit ISIL's command and control, its leadership, its revenue sources, its supply lines and logistics, and impaired its ability to mass forces.
There have been over 800 military airstrikes against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria since August 8th. A U.S.-led international coalition has targeted the Islamic militants with air power, giving support to Iraqi military ground forces and anti-Islamic State fighters in Syria.
Coalition partners have carried out 130 airstrikes against ISIL in both Iraq and Syria. Last week, Canada launched its first airstrikes in Iraq, bringing the total to 12 nations participating in strike operations in Iraq and Syria.
During testimony on Capitol Hill this week, Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel emphasized that the administration has an Iraq-first strategy. But since the beginning of November, there have been more strikes at targets in Syria than in Iraq, mostly because that's where the ISIS forces have been amassing. Hagel also claimed that the Islamic State setbacks have affected the organization's recruitment.
This pressure is having an effect on potential ISIL recruits and collaborators, striking a blow to morale and recruitment. We know that. Our intelligence is very clear on that. And as Iraqi forces build strength, the tempo and intensity of our coalition's air campaign will accelerate in tandem.
But despite the apparent successes of coalition airstrikes, military victory will ultimately depend on the ability of the Iraqi security forces to fight and the Iraqi government to support them.